Hi, welcome to Eddie's Research. This bit of research was actually looked at in about March time, 2020, so it's a little bit out of date by now, but I'm still releasing the video because some of it could be related, might need to be updated a little bit, but everything will be updated constantly, otherwise I'll be constantly updating everything. So now I'm pretty certain everyone in the world has heard of the latest virus that's sweeping the world. Now, I wasn't going to do any articles on this as I have my own views on it, some of which are a mishmash of what I feel it's really about. If you follow or feel that it's not what it's said to be but in an attempt at something else, then you probably have your own theories on it as well. For me, it is of my opinion that it's going to lead to everyone being kept inside, which obviously it has. Growth to reduce, it has, and recession to kick in, it has. They've not said it obviously officially, but it's bloody obvious because all the economies have dropped. Everybody's. There was an article in The Economist many years ago in 1998 about one currency by 2018. Now that may have been delayed due to the Brexit. But why do people think it's a physical currency? Or a currency that is specific, like a dollar or a euro, or could it not be an online currency? I don't mean Bitcoin. I just mean that all money will be online forever. You'll have no physical money, and that's obvious if you look at it now. We're not allowed to use any physical money to pay for anything because apparently a virus can live on a piece of plastic that you've had in your wallet for 3 months. And it could jump off there and jump onto the thing, but you're quite happy to use your card and tap your numbers on a machine. I mean, let's not get down into too much details because it could be on your feet as you're walking along, but that's a different kind of thing. So that way it can all be controlled because it's all online. Now this was the magazine article. It's The Economist. It's a bit blurry, but you can see it there. And you can look at it. It says 10 years Phoenix 2018. The Phoenix obviously is the one that rose from the ashes. Ashes of all the money at the bottom there, you can see it's all burning, and it's currency. It doesn't say what currency it is, it just says it's going to be a world currency. So could world currency just mean online? Anyway, that's not what this article's about, but about the cold that's sweeping the world, where we're all doomed, everyone's going to die. So let's look at what I think people need to look at, and that's the good old stats. Real numbers, real facts, and then you can make up your own mind instead of just accepting what someone tells you. And when I mean someone tells you, I don't mean Joe Blogs down the street, I mean the news or wherever you take your information from. If you take it from online media, the alternative media, or the mainstream media, whatever you want to call it, whichever way you take it from, don't take it as gospel. Have a think yourself, because what somebody could be telling you from wherever it is, whichever side of the famous fence, it could be completely wrong. It could be completely right. You don't know what you do if you look at things. So how to begin? Well, let's look at other kind of things that kill people worldwide each year. Now, I'll cover all sorts of things here, so bear with me. But then you can see that the thing that is causing mass panic isn't as bad as you really think. So here we are at the World Health Organization, the WHO, not the band, but the Health Organization. Everyone's heard of this now. Most people might not have even heard of them before, but everyone's heard of them now. And here's their website. You can look at all this thing here. This is all going to be my articles. You can look and click the links if you wish to. So it's an official website. It's not something I've just found on the internet. And they actually have a mortality database. It's a bit morbid, I would say. So let's click on it. So here it is. Doesn't show you much. I'll just show you roughly what we have to do. So we select parameters, and it opens up a whole new box. Here we are. Just minimize that for a second. So you can see here the deaths, and it shows what you can select what you want. You can select per country, per year. So you can look at, I don't know, external causes. I'm clicking on this one here as an example. So I've just clicked on this first one here. You can click on anything you want, and yes, you can tunnel it down if you really want to see the numbers, female, male, grouped below 1 year, 1 to 4. You know, it's pretty miserable, but useful, I suppose, in a way. And then what you do is you then select your country. You don't have to, because when you select what I'll be doing in a second, it shows them all anyway. So I've ticked these two down here because I've just gone for the UK and the US. Because as there's a lot of info here, I'll just focus on the main two that I know that I would look at if I was going to look at comparisons. Now it says 2016, but I actually only go for 2015 because 2016 doesn't have much for the moment. So what you do then is you select whatever you want. I would highly recommend anyone to have a look at this for whichever country you are, or even countries you're not. You're kind of curious. Maybe you want to look at Cuba or Martinique or something like that. So then you click OK. You come back here. So then you have tables. Now the first one doesn't do anything. Table B brings up this thing, which doesn't tell you much. It tells you this here, and you think, is this the thing? And that's the UK and US. So that's your number. So you've got what, 1,562 in the UK, and see, I didn't tick these, but it's already giving the numbers up for them. So you can kind of see. But you say, well, it's increased, but it could just be because they're recording it easier or better. If you want to click on C, it brings up this one. Doesn't do much, does it? That's UK actually. And then D is this one. And this is why I looked at D. Really, it's quite an interesting one to look at as well, because then you don't need to tick all your countries. Because look, they're all here. Look, Germany for the year I put in. The UK and US are down here. There's a 1562 we just saw a few seconds ago. But you know, Zimbabwe's not doing too brilliantly. Let's have a look and see if anyone would burst. Look, Thailand here, South Africa. I'll look at the high numbers here just to sheer hell of it. I mean, then you can look at the low numbers, like Netherlands, Antilles, or Montserrat, or Montenegro, 0. How cool is that? Now, it took a while, but I actually got an Excel list of all the numbers. I've also stated which are infectious diseases so they can be taken into context of the latest scare. Plus, in some cases, I've also put the basic terminology as some things people are not familiar with. Now, I've created a snapshot of just the infectious ones, but there are more details in my article, and obviously in the video that I'm recording now. So here we are. You can see on the left of the column, there is the list of the diseases. I just went for the ones that were infectious, or that are as close to infectious. Measles and polio and malaria, and the UK and US. And you probably look at that and think, well, how the hell has somebody got malaria in the UK? It's not exactly mosquito country, but my theory is, on this one I don't know, that if you travel to a place where you can get malaria, you pick it up, you come home, and you die of malaria. Hence, you died of malaria in the UK. So just from 2015, you can see that the pneumonia and the chronic lower respiratory disease, the ones two at the very bottom, have the largest values, well into 30,000s for the UK, and a heck of a lot more in the US, but that's obviously due to landmass. So can we find anything a bit more recent? Well, it's not an easy task, but yes, you can. And remember, there's a good portion of the people dying from the coronavirus have the famous underlying health conditions, immune systems that are shot, and any medication that may be given to them will be on top of their current stock, may have adverse reactions. But they don't get listed as medication issues, but the virus. I'm actually very, very curious if anyone's actually had it, was 100% healthy, has no medication given to them and died. Plus, who is 100% healthy? You might look at somebody and say, yeah, he's not taking any tablets, but he might have a dodgy leg. Now, the WHO, again, there's the website, does have data, but it's not in the current database, but it's uploaded in a strange format. So here it is, and it says, do not, so they're not usually friendly data collection, and they're not for research purposes, and you need actual programs to run it. So I actually looked at these two here, and then I opened them up, and I ended up needing the country codes as well. So like I say, it isn't in the usual format as it's mentioned up here. Also, I'll just show you in a second. So here we are. There's UK as a number, and 3 more UKs and the US there as well. So they're not like UK, US, JP, I don't know, PL, whatever, but they're numbers, which is a bit confusing. And this was it. It was a bit bigger than this, but I just basically copied and pasted the wording that I could see in there. So, and in the documentation, it explains that it's a causes. So here's the list of causes, and this is just a snapshot. So you can see like there's the one on the left hand side is the actual identifying number, or ID, and then there's the list, and there's plague, leprosy. I mean, I didn't know people still get leprosy and the plague, but apparently people do, or did. I don't know. Undulant fever. I mean, this is just a snapshot. There's literally hundreds and hundreds in the thing. Now, due to the fact that I don't own any actual statistical software, which is what I needed to read the data, I opened it in Word. Wow. And that's a little snapshot. So easy a child could understand it all. So I attempted to try to reduce the numbers down, but keeping the country, the UK and the US, which was 4308 and 2450. I didn't go for the splitting of the UK. Now, just as a side link here, I did actually do this on my laptop originally. So I went to the exact same link and it came back and stated that they'd been moved and deleted. So I was a bit confused because I went to the link and it kept working, and then it didn't. I was confused. Did they move them? I got the 404 page, but then they all appeared again. But I had it on my laptop anyway, so if it had died or whatever, I still had them. Now, believe it or not, I won't advise opening this unless you really want to. Why? Well, it's well over 1,000 pages. In fact, I looked and started deleting the stuff I didn't need to help produce it, and at around about 9,000 pages, I then carried on and then deleted some more, and it actually stopped at 14,000 pages. Which, as you can imagine, I stopped at that one, as it's massive. I tried to find each number. There were hundreds of random numbers in there. It was freezing all the time, and this was on my laptop. Then I tried it on my main computer, and it was doing the same. So it's just like, don't. If you've got statistical software, open it. But most people don't have this. Anyway, we're going to move to the next database, one for the Office for National Statistics, the ONS in the UK. So here we are. This is the Office for National Statistics. I never say that word properly, so sorry about that. And here it is. There's a lot more to it if you can hover the mouse over it. There you go. Now it's a bit more relevant, as you can see. Remember, I recorded this or did the research back in March, sort of time, April time. So what we'll do is it's a quarterly list, as you can see. It's a quarterly list there. Now the previous releases are actually here. Here they all are. Obviously there's a new one. Actually, where is it? No, there isn't. So then what you can do is you can actually look at each one. So we click on the first one here, which is January to March, and you scroll down and it gives you this blurb here. And you can kind of read this. There's a little scrolly bar down here, and you can read it to your heart's content if you really want to. But there's one drawback with all this data. It doesn't show how they died, as infections, influenza. But what I can show is the numbers per quarter. At least there is something to see. These are the main points. So here we have 134,337 deaths in January to March. April to June, 118,848. Just England. I don't know where Scotland and Northern Ireland is, but there we go. July, September, 113,348. And October to December is 129,821 for October, December. So as you can see, there are, unfortunately, a lot of people dying per year. So why isn't that on the news? Look, let's look at where are we now? April to June. So there's 118,000 deaths. Then. So where are these? Where are they? Now, we take the October to December one. Where is it? There it is. It states that many deaths are actually over 75 increased. This is due to many factors, obviously connected with age. But again, it doesn't really state much, so it's a bit vague. So I can't really use this in comparison with what I'm looking at here, the infectious diseases. So, on to the next one. So here we are at the NHS. Summary hospital level mortality indicator, death associated with hospitalisation, England, December 2018 to 2019. Now these are only associated with anyone that was in hospital at the time of their death. Now for you to find out the numbers, you ignore the data sets here. You need to, because these are the SHMIs, which are calculated ratios, so it's not actually the details. See there, SHMI is the ratio. What you need to look at is the data files downloaded. Down here. So that's a different thing, believe it or not, than this. This is the data sets, that's the data file. So that's the actual SHMI data files. So you may think it's still a ratio, but when you actually extract the contents, the following appears. So you can see at the top there, that's the first folder you actually open up. And then when you open up the SHMI data folder, you get the bottom details there. So I looked at the SHMI diagnosis group breakdown November 18 to October 19, the XLS one. Now there's a tab in there that has the descriptions. So here's the descriptions. Again, just a snapshot. So it has the diagnosis number, the CCS categories, which are useful, and the labels and a bit of a description, because some people might not know what things are. Like, I don't know if it tells you on any of those ones. No, it doesn't. They're all the same. But sometimes they might have a bit more in-depth stuff. And there's also a main tab with the actual data. Now this is a double screenshot, so bear with me. So there we are. This is the main tab. So you have a diagnosis number. It's quite a long thing when it scrolls across, and I can't really get a decent screenshot. So as you can see the provider code if you know that, and if not, you got the name of the hospital. So it's a big sheet. Like I say, I had to split it, and it's another big file as well. In massive files. This one's 18,274 lines long. Now, assuming that we're to look at the observed deaths, so we need to remember that there is a list that we have previous. So I posted it here again, just so you can see it. So what we did, or what I did anyway, is I tried to see if any of these matched up. Now I'm not going to look at which trust, the name of the hospital and location. I'm just after the numbers. But you're more than welcome to have a look yourself. And the numbers I managed to find were Starling. Now please bear in mind that I tried to find the same causes as the WHO listing. At some points they lump certain cases together. Plus some I can't find, but they may not have listed them, or it's another group that I still can't find. Here we go. So, disease of the nervous system, tuberculosis, diphtheria, and you can see on the right hand side I've kind of highlighted in green for those, because on the WHO, for example, they split each one of those down into separate things. So there's one for hepatitis, one for parasitic, one for HIV, whereas in here they're just lumped together in one big lump. But apart from the HIV, that's a separate thing. And the same with the chronic lower respiratory disease, it's split in the other one. In here it's just one. So I also created a list of all in relation to each other. So again, there we go. So we've got the UK 2015 from the WHO, US 2015 from the WHO, and then the UK 2019, the NHS round to the nearest 5. That's what it says in the database, so that's what I've written there at the top. So you can kind of see the numbers there. If you look at certain things, it's a little bit weird, but these are the numbers. These aren't just numbers I've just cobbled down my thin air. I've just shown you where they all are. You can click on to your heart's content. Anyway, in the meantime, let's look at the UN. Now, this is a pretty daunting list, to say the least. Why? Well, it can have sections like probability of dying between the birth and exact age of 1. But I'm just looking at the yearly data. So here we are at the United Nations, the Mortality Database, and yes, there's a lot. A lot of stuff there. There's the main stuff. There's your data. And I actually started on this one here, the world's population prospects mortality data. And again, it's pretty hefty, to say the least. So the one I'm actually looking at here, here's the number. Sorry, just realised I've opened the wrong one. Is the number of deaths over a given period from 1st of July. Click on that there and open that. So here it is. Let's click on that there. And like I say, it's quite large. There's quite a few tabs to look at, but all these tabs are these different things here, but going across. So it's a lot of delving through the lists. So the numbers are here in the thousands. So when you see, say for example, 908 for a number, whatever that is, there, 908. That's actually times 1,000, so that's 908,000. Okay, so when you take a look at the spreadsheet, there are many tabs. Now I'm just going to look at the estimates tab. When you look at the region column here, even say it's if the less developed regions, high income, low income. That's pretty daunting anyway, but interesting to see where you live. And there's also the countries. And this is what I'm saying about it being pretty miserable, because you can, on the other one, look at things like this is the mortality of the whole thing. If I just skip back to the thing, the probability of dying between the birth and exact age 1. You know, I don't really want to open. I mean, it's not something you want to read, is it? What's the probability? I mean, my little, you know, whatever. So anyway, what I did is I actually deleted out a few things, chopped this off down here, and just shown it for the UK and the US, because that's what we're doing so far. So here, sorry, I didn't realise I could use my mouse. Sorry about that. So here we are for 2015 to 2020. But obviously it's only on 2019, so it hasn't. This was an old one. So the UK is 3137. That's 3,137,000, and the US is 14,153,000. So this is where I'll give my conclusions and my overall thoughts. So if you look at the WHO database, in the years that we could obtain, which is 2015, the amount of deaths for the cases similar to the coronavirus, the total, was for the UK 104,391 and the US 427,445. Using the ONS UK only for 2019, of which it can be for any cases, the total was 469,354. Using the NHS database, which again is UK only, in the year 2019, the amount of deaths for cases similar was 59,055. Using the UN database for 2015-2020, of which it can be for any cases, the total for the UK was 3,137,000, and the US was 14,153,000. Remember, this is to the in the nearest. I can't remember. It tells you somewhere. So as you can see, depending on the year the database used, the numbers can vary. For example, the WHO database was the most detailed, whereas the ONS was pretty basic. Plus, not all had the most current numbers. Now, this isn't, as some will say, due to hiding the old numbers, but probably due to actually obtaining them. Can you imagine the amount of records needed to exactly say which was for what, for every single person in every single country? You know, it's no wonder it takes a while. So because of this, we cannot draw a comparative assessment of the values, no matter where they're from. But what is definitely interesting is that when the mainstream news is stating that this is worse than anything, and in this country it's been such and such deaths, just have a look at the, say, the NHS database, and see that it's actually a lot higher yearly. I've heard some people say that when their loved one dies by a fall, a heart attack, etc., they're being classed as COVID-19, which basically skews the numbers. Also, when people are being admitted to hospital with it, plus other issues, and die due to their lung giving up as they have lung cancer already, they're also being classed as COVID. Think of it another way. A person is involved in a car crash, gets rushed to the hospital with internal injuries. Surgery goes well, but then a day or so later the person gets an infection or internal bleeding begins again on his spleen and he dies. Did he die from a car crash or internal bleeding? It's obviously the latter, and that is why post-mortems are usually carried out to determine the cause of death in cases. It could have been a brain hemorrhage that caused it, but it's the final thing that caused the person to die, not the interim. I think this kind of research is pretty daunting to anyone, but I for some reason love getting to grips with the actual stats and numbers. If you looked at a previous video that I did for the pay gap, you'll notice that took me ages to come up with some interesting numbers. But it's the numbers you really need to see for yourself. As always, thank you for watching this. Please comment if you want to. Like I say, I know there's different theories floating around out there and everywhere from different sides of the fence, we'll call it. But this is just focusing on numbers. That's it. Okay, thank you for watching and goodbye.